Well, thank you for joining us. It's another Monday, and of course, we're both here to dig into the papers.
Yeah, it's good to have you back.
It's good to be here.
I was just changing boyfriends, like I was just scouting.
Well, now I'm back.
So now you're back. I don't have to look.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Look no further.
Yes, man. But you're good?
I'm well. Nice. I mean, I was just sharing my story with you. In these times of COVID and everything, look, you don't want to take anything for granted. So I just thank God that I'm back and able to do this. I missed this. I really did, though I was in no shape to be here. So.
Yeah, it's good to have you. Listen, I thank God for your life.
Amen.
We can only do this if we're healthy.
Yep.
And so it's good that you're back.
Yeah.
Don't get sick.
And let me just say, everybody out there, take care of yourself. Because
yeah.
Now, I was sharing again before we came on air, the number of cases, COVID-19, and people succumbing. It's just, I mean, now almost every day, I hear of someone close, someone who is known by a friend's relative, a friend's friend, going. And I'm asking myself, what exactly are we doing? The president yesterday, like I was sharing, sounded a bit frustrated, with everything. And again, look at our institutions and what is happening there. The techs, the Legons, and the new students, and the sort of activities. If we keep on like this, I mean, don't let it happen to you before you start, screaming or talking about why God failed you. Don't fail yourself. That's the little I'll share with you.
Okay, let's have Joseph Opoku-Gakpo join us via Zoom. Let's say good morning to him. Let's see your handsome face, Joseph, if you're on.
Mami, good morning.
Oh, there you are. Good. Are you okay? Did you sleep well?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. It was a long weekend, but I'm good.
Nice.
It's been recovering from, has he recovered from COVID?
I was almost going to say that. He didn't get COVID, but the way he was sounding.
I did make it clear that it wasn't. Okay, so when you have the likes of Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, Joseph, how could you do this to me? So please, even this morning when I was posting on social media, I said I'd been through a harrowing experience, but not COVID. I had to underline it so people don't get any idea.
No, but to be fair to him, because you linked it to COVID, it wasn't so clear.
Okay. So mine was not COVID. Something also a bit nasty, but not COVID. COVID.
We still thank God that you're back and welcome back.
Thank you, Joe.
Are you in Parliament?
Oh, how?
That's exactly what came to mind. I was beginning to wonder whether it had rubbed off you as well.
You know the most interesting of all the stories that I heard last week over the MP showing up as early as 3 a.m. Our good friend, the information minister, the former information minister and MP for Kwasia Irebi, Kojo Nkrumah, offering the explanation that showing up in Parliament at 4 a.m. is regular as far as they are concerned, and that on the regular day they show up in Parliament at 4 a.m.
Okay, wait. Kojo was talking to me here on the AM show because you see, I had just been shown the pictures of Parliament. Like the entire one portion was absolutely full, and so I asked him if he was in Parliament, if he was in Job 600 talking to us, because he got on our Zoom at 7:30 a.m. And he explained that for him, being in town at that time was not unusual because he has an office very close to Parliament House. He didn't, not exactly the way that you've put it, but I get the fact that you've summarized it. I mean, he just wanted to say that for some of them, it wasn't unusual for them to be in their offices at that time. You get it?
I'll leave the matter.
I would have wanted to find out from my good friend Kojo when the last time was that he was in Parliament at around 4 a.m.
No, I didn't talk to him at 4 a.m.
No, I mean, I would have wanted to find out from him when the last time was that he had been that early, apart from recently in Parliament.
We could call him so that you can ask him.
But did you hear the responses of the NDC side? The Sam Jatters and the rest, and the fun they were poking Honorable Doyo and the rest,
I
even saying
deleted
that
a photo
they had.
of her sleeping.
Yes, I saw that
I deleted
too.
it. I regret deleting. Otherwise, I would have just
Shared it.
Shared it, exactly. But it looked like she was in a hotel room. I mean, it was too
It looked
polished,
alike.
like, you know.
It did. It looked like it.
Okay, guys, let's dig into the papers. Opoku Gakpo, you've got the Fine and the Daily Guide. Do you want to start?
So I can start with that. The Finder comes with a front page story. President gets tough on COVID-19 protocols, orders police to deal with defaulters, warns of possible return of lockdown. So the president's late night address, that's the main story on the front page of the Finder. Stop abusing the uniform police, that's coming from Samson Ladi INNA, the host of Newsfile. There's also the story from the Roads Ministry, 570 million Accra Temba motorway expansion contract, duly evaluated, negotiated. That's on page 12 of the Finder, and that's according to a statement from the Minister for Roads and Highways, that Kwesi Amakwata, he's the former minister and the caretaker minister there. You recall that there was a press conference by the minority a few days ago, and they raised concerns that the company that's taking up the job didn't get it through any form of competitive bidding. The other stories here, Chinese frontline doctors to help Ghanaians combat COVID-19. That's very interesting for a nation that's moving beyond aid and all. But yeah, that's the development from China. We will insist on schools' adherence to protocols, and that's coming from NASIA. And I particularly skipped the story with the photograph of Mahama Yarega. It's also COVID-19 related. Parliament must suspend fees for tertiary students, and that's coming from Mahama Yarega. And essentially, the story is that he's written to the speaker, seeking the leave of the speaker to file a motion and, you know, seek for the House to approve a resolution that will virtually urge the executive arm of government to create a situation where students getting into tertiary institutions don't have to pay admission fees as part of the COVID-19 relief packages. So we're waiting if that particular motion will eventually be moved on the floor in the course of the week, and then subsequently probably debated and approved or rejected by Parliament. Let me move on quickly to some other papers that I have here. I have the Daily Guide as well, Mamavi. The Daily Guide comes with a very harrowing story on the front page. Pastor kills daughter 9 for being a witch. Very bizarre story there. Just to go through the first two paragraphs, a pastor of the Heaven Kingdom Palace International in Accra, Gideon Boache, has been arrested by the police at in Kranza in the Bono East region for killing his 9-year-old daughter, Queensta Boache, for allegedly being a witch. And the story goes on to say the suspect is currently in police custody pending further investigations. Meanwhile, the body of Queensta has been retrieved from a sack in a cemetery at Nkranza and given back to the family for burial. Very, very harrowing story there. And then the two final stories on the front page, COVID on killing spree, and then Noguchi probes fake COVID reports. And then there's a story about Parliament approving the ratio for various committees that will be established in the course of the week. And they are working with a ratio that says 138 for the NPP plus Fomena, which constitutes the majority parliamentary group, and 137 for the NDC. So when they set up the very first committee, which is the Selection Committee of Parliament, we saw a situation where, with regards to the numbers, there are 20 members on the committee, the speaker is out, the rest of the 19, the NPP and Fomena constituting the majority parliamentary group has 10, and the NDC has 9. And looks like that's how it will run through as far as the rest of the committees are concerned.
Yeah, and just picking up from the pastor who's killed his 9-year-old daughter. So apparently a senior pastor of his church, the church that you mentioned, identified this little girl as a witch and said that the father, who is also a pastor, should beat her up, I think between 1 a.m. and a certain time, so that after a certain period, they will cast out the demon in her. And so that's what he sought to do. And if you read it, the paper puts it properly. Gideon foolishly carried out the act and in the process murdered his daughter in cold blood. And when he did that, he put the dead body of his own daughter in a Ghana must go bag.
In a sack.
And left it in the cemetery and just traveled back to Accra.
I mean, this just horrified me. I've followed part of the events, but this morning, this gave further insight into the matter. And, I think from time to time, all of us need to take a second look at the Children's Act, for example. It talks about some of these things, exploitative labor, about torture, about some of all the things that, shouldn't be done to children. And if you don't want the child, if you feel the child is, there are other mechanisms. Sometimes people are not aware of the other mechanisms that exist. If you feel the child is a burden, they may not be up to where they ought to be in this country, but there are measures in place. There are people who want children. If you think the child
I would like to say this as a parent.
So much of a pest.
So you're a pastor and your senior pastor tells you that your daughter is a witch. So beat the child so that
at a specific time,
yes,
and it will help.
And then she'll be free from
exorcise the girl.
And then you foolishly also decide to do that. It's just plain foolishness. It is nothing else. It is you thinking that somebody is more intelligent than you and so says that your daughter is a witch. And then you believe that your daughter is a witch. Even if that daughter was a witch, it is your daughter. You live with the daughter. That's a child that you brought forth to in this world. And then you follow somebody's direction. What is your own direction? It's just like children going back to school in this COVID. And I've heard many things being said. I'm sure we'll get to that point. It is your choice, you can decide that this semester, this term, you let your child stay at home because you don't think it's safe enough.
Member of Parliament for Ningo Prampram has been saying that he doesn't feel ready with his family. It's your choice.
It's your choice because it's your own child, it's your children. But don't make it sound like you want all of us to follow your directive. I have my own children, you have your own children. We take care of them differently. We may have some guides, some guidelines, which will be general, but we'll apply them differently. Let me not just take all the time ranting, but let's get into more of the papers.
Well, let's check out the Ghanaian Times newspaper very quickly. Surges in COVID-19 cases, GHS races to secure facilities. In the last few days, the way I've been talking to people about COVID, I think I should be an ambassador because...
Oh, you are?
I have been on people and now it's getting scary, but that's the story there. GHS races to secure facilities to treat increasing numbers of patients in Accra. Some of the reports coming in tell us that our health facilities our ICUs are getting full.
Well, that was just last
all
week.
Of that.
It's not even getting full.
Let me just give
and
some
these
comfort.
These are the COVID ICU units
specifically for COVID.
Full.
So it means basically if you were to fall ill, and especially if you are getting to critical point, it's going to be difficult for you to even secure a bed to talk of treat COVID. So just be on the lookout. Autopsies on 20 COVID-19 deaths reveal acute lung conditions. I may not get time to come back to this, but Bobi Wine to legally contest Uganda vote. I've been following this incident up to this very morning. But I ask myself, really, after 35 years in power, what does Yoweri Museveni want? 35 years. 35. Forget all the surrounding circumstances and soldiers besieging Bobi Wine's house and his wife and everything, but 35 years. That's like, it seems so, and then I remind myself, this is our continent. Famously, Mo Ibrahim at a point said, we elect, and no disrespect to elderly ones who are leaders, we elect so many of these very elderly people as leaders in Africa. Where are they taking us, to the grave? He was just joking with it back then. But you look at the youth of the continent, the age range, and you look at our leadership, and you ask yourself, what exactly is happening this continent? Anyway, so that's another one there. And I believe it is here that I saw the Speaker of Parliament. Yes, I won by 138 votes. All the bit about consensus. Bagbin, Sumana Bagbin has come to say, no, I think I chop up fair and square. And maybe to wrap up with this on page 10, FDA warns importers of unregistered products. It has been warning importers who fail to register their goods with the authority that they will not be allowed to clear their goods from the ports with effect from February 1, 2021. So another move to stem the tide of fake products coming into Ghana.
Let's jump into the daily graphic on the front page. Upsurge in COVID-19 cases. Police will enforce safety protocols, says Mr. President. And I just wanted to ask Mr. President, why the police people, did they go to sleep or they were waiting for the president to say it before they enforce the safety protocols? That's been one of my headaches, really. You have a piece of legislation that is there that allows them to do the job. But must we have the president in his 22nd address say emphatic that police will enforce safety protocols before the police does it work? It's a question that I don't, because see,
do you know why it stands to reason for me? Have you been looking at the police officers? Have you been observing them?
They've not been wearing.
A lot of them don't wear the thing. How can you go and tell someone to don a mask when you are not in a mask?
You see, the problem, and I think I fairly know us because I'm also Ghanaian. Once it is not something that you do, you haven't been enforcing it. Now you have so many people not respecting those protocols. Are you going to arrest 1,000 people at a go and send them where? To jail for what, 4 to 10 years? But if you were doing it, that would be a deterrent. If you were enforcing it. You see, when we went under the lockdown and we had tight security and people were arrested, other people would be afraid because they know that this is what is going to happen. But we've relaxed. I mean, we've relaxed. People have relaxed in respecting the protocols. Law enforcers have relaxed in doing their job. And now we have the president coming back to say police will enforce safety protocols. I don't know. I mean,
we go to sleep and expect that things will just be, you know, we like knee-jerk reactions. Let the thing hit, then we'll come back. I mean, how many people did not project that after election 2020 and on the back of some of the things we had done, we would see these? And we are seeing them. Yeah. We're never proactive.
I think our law enforcers are not helping Mr. President. And if he sounded very frustrated yesterday and said, don't force me to get the country to go on another lockdown, police should take responsibility for some of the things that's happening. Because we know ourselves, if you don't punish us, we won't do the right thing. That's
Mama,
it. Joseph.
I think leadership needs to do more than just talk in this country. Our politicians have not provided the appropriate leadership when it comes to COVID-19 protocol enforcement over the last few weeks and months. You know, you look at the reaction on social media and people are telling the president, when you guys finish your campaign and hugging yourself on platforms and crowding people into spaces because you wanted to campaign, you are now coming to threaten the rest of us that if we don't go by COVID-19 protocols, then you will reintroduce a lockdown. Where is leadership on the part of the politicians? What have they done to show all of us that this is how we need to get things done? People look at the hypocrisy, if I could call it so, and it upsets everyone. And so, yes, for our own health, for our own safety, all of us, our health, you know, remains in the hands of all of us, and we should take the steps to protect ourselves, our friends, our families, our loved ones, and the general population. But leadership must do more than threaten people and warn people and, you know, and caution them about existing laws. They should show real leadership in terms of how things should be done in this country. And that becomes a basis to then demand that the populace do same.
Absolutely, right on point. Let's do the center spread of the daily graphic. Congestion at bus terminals following reopening of schools. I was in Makola on Saturday. Oh my God. There's a popular place where people will buy school uniforms, as in the fabric to sew. It's called Abinawa Hub. The queue was like from here to Makola, I tell you. And I forgot, actually. You know, usually in January, we don't buy things like the way we buy things like in September, where you are changing uniforms, where you're buying snack bags and things like that.
The whole cycle took even some parents by surprise. Because it wasn't expected.
Yeah. So suddenly I realized, hey, Mama V, you have to buy this, you have to buy this, you have to buy this. And I had only Saturday to just do that. And I think some parents also went through the same thing. So it's been a bit hectic for some of us parents. I know there are some other parents who say, oh, for the first week there, my children won't go. I want to wait and see how other children fare.
But in the first week, that's the reality.
Then I'll send my children. But listen, this is what I have said. I know quite a number of people have said that. So first week will actually be a good time for me, I am thinking. And I think that I have faith in my school. That's what I'm thinking. Because even before the reopening, they had very strict measures in place. And they're going to follow that. So I'm pretty confident. And you have to teach your children some basic things. They have to go through over and over and over again and keep asking them, do you remember what Mommy said? Can you go through them? But I thought I would share.
I think when they return from school, you have to be getting them to
absolutely
give you feedback, especially for the very little ones, the little tots who.
As for that,
as for them, my heart. When I imagine them doing it, because they are in the group that look at my mask, and they are sharing it already.
So this is what I learned whilst I was packing for my children yesterday. You need extra mask. I know some of the schools have said they will provide masks, but I think that we shouldn't be heavily reliant on them. So you need to pack extra mask, at least 1 or 2 if you can. And you have to label the mask. You have to label the mask. So I got this plain zip bag and I labeled it, I have their names on it, and I labeled the mask as well and put it inside. Show them where it was. Said that if you go to the washroom, for instance, and the mask falls off, don't take it and wear it. Just go back to your bag and take a new one. And then you need those small hand sanitizers. You also have to label them as well and put them in the bag. Show them how to open it and close it. Because around this time, you don't need them to get help or support from other persons to do it for them. So those are, the 2 things that I thought I would share. And then if you have any underlying condition, if your child has asthma or any other thing, you need to put the appropriate first aid kits in the bag. So if it's an inhaler that you use, because they have asthma, make sure that you never ever forget it. Put it in a place where they will know. And the school must know.
Inform the school.
The school must know. The school must know. Some of the parents do not discover what their children have, because when you start school, the forms they give you, you have to disclose all your conditions. Please, if you skip that portion, around this time, you can't keep it to yourself only. You have to let the school authorities know. The class teachers must know. And then they must know what to do when something happens. Yeah.
On the bit about the school uniforms, this just reminds me when that part of Kantamantu got burnt that I went into. I think that has also contributed to, because I don't think it is back up yet. So all the pressure would be on other locations where these school uniforms and sewing and all that goes on. It just came to mind when you were talking about it.
The thing about Abena Wahab, though, is that you can get every kind of uniform. So if it's a private school or if it's a government school, all you need to, once you get there, just mention the name of the school and they will get you the uniform. So it's a very reliable source.
I see.
Yes, and a lot of people know it. And so
what's it called again? Abena Wahab.
Yes, the place is always busy.
And the sort of interesting
the queue was so long and winding. I was like, oh my God, if I was sewing uniform, would I be in this queue today? Yeah.
Anyway, for me, just to stress the Daily Statesman, President hints of another lockdown, and that is if, we refuse to do the right things. Maybe it would have to be compelled to do the right things. But if you check out page 13, so coronavirus, when you check out some countries, Israel, out of every 100 people, 25 getting the dose, United Arab Emirates, 15.4, UK 5. It goes down there. We're still praying that at some point, the Ghana Medical... the GMA in recent times, the Ghana Medical Association, has been talking about the fact that we need those vaccines sooner rather than later. It remains to be seen how soon we can get them, in our part of the world. South Africa and others already working with vaccines. But I have a birthday wish, but let's wrap up here and then we can get into some of those details. Joseph.
Ben,
I believe you're still with us. So before we wrap up and leave you out of this, do you have any final stories or any thoughts to share before we wrap up?
Just wanted to ask what Parliament up to today. I love the Speaker's speech. It was fantastic. And I posted on Facebook. What did he say? He said, I'll remember.
So you have some choice ones from...
Yeah, there was a specific... no, something like my life is not my life, but just if you tell us what to expect, I'm going to pull that.
Majority group floor.
What should we expect from Parliament?
so the House is actually not sitting today. They're resuming sitting tomorrow. On a regular day, Parliament sits from Tuesdays to Fridays, except there is piled up business, and then they sit on Mondays. So today is not one of those days. Funny enough, when First Deputy Speaker Jose Osu adjourned sitting on Friday, he adjourned sitting to 2 o'clock Tuesday. So 14 hours GMT on Tuesday, not the regular 10 a.m. On Friday, for example, they said they were coming at 10 a.m. and they eventually showed up around 12:30 thereabouts. This time around, the sitting was adjourned to 2 o'clock. And when the First Deputy Speaker was adjourning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday, then he asked the majority leader. This is obviously in pursuance of an earlier conversation that had happened with the speaker, right? And then the response was that yes. There's been that conversation about whether it's not yet time for them to move the sitting of Parliament to late afternoon, so that then they can say that those who are ministers and all and committees can go ahead and do their meetings. Those who are ministers can work in their ministries in the morning, committees can do their meetings in the morning, so that plenary starts sitting from around 2 o'clock. I don't know if they are beginning to implement that, but tomorrow 2 o'clock the House would sit and then we'll see what's there. There's been the list of members of the selection committee which should determine the membership of the various committees. That's been brought to the House. It was laid on Friday. The document will be approved on Tuesday, and then they would go ahead and set up all the rest of the committees.
Okay.
My destiny is in my own hands. That's what I wanted to quote from Speaker Alban Bagbin.
Anyway, so to wrap, I just want to celebrate a very special person, a friend, a sister, Gladys Oredu, one of our very own channel managers, Joy Prime, and Ayan Simbebre. But Gladys, we celebrate you. Very happy birthday to you. God bless you. And we thank him for the many blessings he's brought to us through you. God
I would have
you.
sung a happy birthday, but they will close this channel if I tried. So happy birthday to you, Gladys.
All right.
Joseph, have a good day, okay? We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a good day. Have a good day, Mama. Yesterday was Evans Mensah's birthday as well. The headmaster, Evans Mensah.
Yeah.
What did you just say?
Happy birthday.
The what?
The headmaster.
The headmaster. Okay. Headmaster.
Evans Mensah.
This is where we wrap it up for the news review. Sports is up next. Thank you for staying with us. Tuesday.